This is a pile of everything you all need to sign. So.
It's gotta be a quick meeting, somebody stole my water.
We can have water brought. We can have water brought.
I kept like 2 little bottles.
I'll share you.
Well, I think Mr. Gall could bring you some water if he's got the feet on.
Where is he?
But he's working.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We are.
Are we ready?
I think we're live, yeah.
I think
All
so.
right. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Today's February 21st, 2023. It's 5 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we ought to move the flag. I feel like I'm blocking the flag.
Oh, no, that's right. And Mr. President, you do see the cameras are different than they usually are on the ceiling?
Oh,
Just,
Before we start, I would like to say our board here would like to offer our condolences to the family of Mayor Kim Strauss of LaGrange. He passed away over the weekend, so if you don't mind, I'd like to offer a moment of silence before we start. Thank you. Madam Clerk,
Commissioner Moore,
I am here.
Commissioner Riddell,
Here.
Commissioner Hung.
here.
We have a quorum. Resolutions. Number 1, investments.
These are investments. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Oops, I guess we had more than one page.
No, one's for, that's for Friday.
Yeah,
This is
that's-
for
yeah.
Tuesday. This is for today.
Make a motion for today. Second. Okay.
Further discussion? Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 2, appropriations.
I believe we have, oh, we just have this right here. These are the appropriations, 1 through 14. Oh, okay, is that the,
Those
no,
are
those are
transfers.
transfers, so we'll back up a bit. I see our sheriff is here today, letting you know we're buying those 8 cars there, getting them for you, Sheriff, so there, that's nothing like to see a smiling sheriff in the audience, so. If there's no discussion, move to, I'll second.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 3, transfers.
Those are 1 through 5. Any comments? If not, I move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 4, advances, repayments. There were none. Number 5, requisitions.
Oh, let's back up. Can you back up one? Okay, we had account transfer fund. Okay, I'm sorry, misread that. So
It's okay.
okay, sorry, bud. Thanks. Okay, we have about 6 pages of requisitions that we'll be discussing first before we make the motion to make sure everybody's okay. This is page 1 of 6. Is there any discussion for this page? Seeing none, if we could move to page 2. This is page 2. Item number 625, there was some discussions today in regards to the prepaid postage, just so that the public is aware. This pretty much gets allocated, according to KC, correct? To the, would you like to discuss it and how that works? Our budget director, KC.
Sure, thanks, Commissioner. Yes, so this postage, item 625, would be to essentially load our postage machine here that we have at the Commissioner facility. Preloads the postage on there, so as postage moves out of the county, it's run through our meter, and it's stamped with the prepaid postage. So this $240,000 would be essentially loading our account and loading the machine to be able to post those pieces of mail that move through our system. Right now, we're approximately about $30,000 a month in postage.
I think it's allocated to the different,
Correct. So
electeds.
as the mail runs through there, it's assigned to the department mailing that, sending those mailers out, and then that postage is billed back to those departments. So again, to reimburse the commissioners for those postage expenses.
okay, thanks. Anyone have any other questions? If not, we'll go to page 3. This is page 3 of our requisitions for today. We'll move to page 4. It's nice to see some of our local companies are starting to receive some of the maintenance supplies. Thank you. And page 5 of page 6. Do we have any questions? And page 6 of 6. Okay. Seeing no discussions, I move to approve the requisitions.
Second?
Any further discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 6, travel.
I so move to approve travel.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes. KC number 22. For the date, is it correct? You have 2/12 of 23.
Is there a 1 missing?
Oh, okay.
Is that supposed to be,
We'll take off the 1 in front of
Do I
it.
have maybe Friday's copy and not
I'd say
today's copy?
I'd say there's a typo there.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it says February 12th to December 14th. Yeah, I'd say that was
So it should be 12.
February 12th
12
to
to
February
214,
14th.
so take out the 1.
Oh, wait a minute. It should be 2/12 to 2.
212 to 214.
okay.
Gotcha.
I just marked it.
Yeah, that'd be
Next
a
to it.
pretty cheap way to live in DC for $130. So. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion? We already made a motion.
We did. Is there anything further?
Yep, we're
No?
good.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 7, bills. There were none.
Oh, wow.
Number 8, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Board of Commissioners. At the conclusion of today's board meeting, commissioners may recess an executive session to discuss personnel, new hires, and board appointments. B, public comment.
At this point, in our public comment, there's a few people here. Just to let you know, if there's any item on the agenda that you wish to address, this is where we ask you to participate. At the end of our meeting, we do have a list of people that wish to participate and have comments. That's when we ask you to have your public comment. Since I remember seeing you guys at the Township Trustee meeting, that's at the point you guys would come up. So I don't see anybody here unless the sheriff. There was anything on the item, or you want to wait till the end? Oh, okay. Okay. Seeing nobody that was here to discuss anything on our agenda, I guess we can move on.
And there's no old business as far as I know.
Okay.
D, board business. Number 9, approve and waive the reading of the county commissioners meeting minutes of December 21st, 2022, January 9th, 18th, and 25th, 2023, and February 1st and 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes, Madam Clerk, I will have to abstain from February 1st because I was not here.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes, with noted abstention.
Number 10, adjust the salaries of the longevity for Lorain Municipal Court employees reflecting the county's 2/5 share, effective retroactive to February 1st, 2023. Peter Torres, bailiff, biweekly rate is $1,024.85. Bianca Velar, bailiff, biweekly rate is $1,028.91.
I believe we might have some questions for in regards
Yeah,
to
we
this.
talked about this briefly, excuse me, we talked about this briefly before the meeting started. And a question was raised about how the increases the salaries affected this board's obligation to pay the prorated share. And I asked for a brief interval to do some research on that and find out, because I've never faced that question before. So I'd appreciate it if the board would table this and move it to another date.
You want to table or just hold till Friday?
We-
Or do you want to wait till the March 7th?
I would prefer to wait till March. I don't know that I'll have time between now and Friday to take a look at it.
The issue at hand is whether or not the county is
Well,
obligated to one city's longevity policy, correct?
Well, the county is required by statute to pay a certain percentage
Right.
of the salaries for the municipal employees. The question, I think, is when that salary is raised by a municipality within the middle of a budget year, how does the county respond, or does it have to respond, or does it wait? Or that's the question I'd like to look at.
Okay. Is that okay with the board to hold?
Yes.
Okay.
So this will be
Yep,
placed
we'll
on
hold
the
this till
March
March
7th.
7th meeting.
Okay. Number 11, authorize Lorain County Administrator to execute certain necessary documents by behalf of Lorain County Board of Commissioners in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 305.30.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion.
I'd like to discuss. For the benefit of the audience, this is one of those changes we spoke about a little bit before, was we changed the meeting schedule to provide for evening meetings like this. And then starting Friday will be our first morning meeting, and there will be 10 days for the public to engage in the agenda between Friday morning and the following Tuesday, 10 days later. During that time, the commissioners would not have a meeting, and we're forecasting that the staff has raised the issue if we need to get something quickly executed and we don't have a commissioners meeting, what should we do? And so this was an outgrowth of those conversations with staff about how do we function under the new schedule to make sure that we still deliver, the prompt kind of service that folks expect.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
on this matter, I would just like to state that our employees are the cornerstone of the services we provide to the residents of Lorain County. The provision on this legislation that gives the power of employee dismissals, whether probationary or otherwise, is giving too much unchecked power to the county administrator. For that reason, I cannot support it. But I would suggest to my colleagues that we simply remove number 2, and I will be able to support it.
Recognize, I think, and I haven't seen the final version of the resolution. I looked at a draft earlier. I think one of the issues is the ability to either extend the probationary period for classified employees or to act at the end of a probationary period, and to be able to act quickly, because once the probationary period runs, then certain property rights are attached to the job, and it becomes more difficult to terminate someone or discipline them after their probationary period is run. So I would suggest that the board think about that part of it before you decide to move number 2. Yeah.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
Mr. Petticord, so if we are entrusting the county administrator to understand and have his arms around all departments and all directors, would he not know if there was an issue with an employee that may need to be dismissed in a probationary period?
You'd have to talk to the directors and the county administrator. I'm just telling you legally the effect of moving that section off of the resolution. I know from my own experience, these types of issues tend to get made at the end of a probationary period because you've got generally end of probation reviews. And for the most part, we've tried to work with people as best as possible to see if they will improve enough until they get to that period. But I think that's a management issue for the administrator and the directors to work through. Right.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
And if I may add, we customarily around the holidays, Mr. Assistant County Prosecutor, we pass legislation, so the president of the board can sign off on certain matters, which looks very familiar to this, but we don't extend that power to probationary dismissals. So I think that's really where my issue is here, and the employee issue, and I would trust that our county administrator would be keeping on top of the directors as far as any issues that were going on with employee discipline.
I think that's a policy decision for you guys to make. You're right on that. I would draw a distinction. This is not an emergency resolution, similar to the ones that are generally passed after the last regularly scheduled meeting of the year before the beginning of the year. The statute is different in that respect, but I think it's a policy decision whether the board wants to grant that authority. My point was to make sure you were aware of the legal ramifications of pulling the employment.
And I did Karen mention this? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
No,
Did
go
Karen
ahead.
mention this to you, that this was an issue for me? I hope this isn't the first my colleagues are hearing of this.
I think that I assume that you would probably have an issue with this, given how I know you are more detail focused. I don't know that Karen and I discussed it directly. I looked at the draft, I put it in the statutory format and passed off. I don't do policy, I do law, right?
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
policy, whether you guys want to do it, is up to you. But I wanted the board to understand the legal implications of that.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, this is a procedural step. That's how I see this. I was not supportive of having the president be in charge during the holidays or extended absences, but more of the county administrator. That's kind of how I see the position of the county administrator. And if the county administrator thinks he's going to start firing whoever that is because he doesn't like him and didn't run it by the three of us, then I think he's going to have a problem, or she will have a problem. So I'm happy with the way it's worded.
I'm comfortable with the intent of the resolution to see to it that the wheels keep turning while we're not here on that, in that 10-day break. And speaking as an employer, I know that there are employee issues that need to be handled swiftly and decisively, not divisively, decisively.
Sometimes divisively too.
You don't see them be next to each other on a typewriter, it happens all the time. But I think that it's important for us to see to it that our new schedule doesn't change the efficiency of the enterprise.
Mr. President?
Yep.
And Commissioner Riddell, I can't agree with your sentiment on that. However, I can't agree with number 2. I would like to vote for this if there was a way that it could be amended so all three of us were in agreement.
I'm happy with the way it is.
Okay,
So
so
thank you, though.
I'm
This is
happy
the
with,
kind of conversation
I'm happy
that
with
we
one,
want people to see.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm happy with 1 and 3. I'm just not happy with 2.
A lot of people aren't happy with number 2. Sorry, go ahead, call the vote quickly.
Commissioner Moore?
Sorry. Aye.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
No,
Number 12, appoint Mark Cunningham, member, and alternate Dick Heidecker as Lorain County Township Association members to NOACA, effective January 1st of 23 through December 31st of 23.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
yes,
Community Development, 13, reimburse Columbia Township in the amount of $40,650 for consultant services for the preparation of an update to its comprehensive land use plan. Columbia Township entered into agreement with Envision Group LLC to provide these services and will be paid from the general other expenses account. Township and county agreed to splitting the total cost, and each will pay $40,650.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes, the Columbia Township trustees wanted to be here tonight, and they really are wanted to be here and discuss this project. But because of yesterday being a legal holiday, their Monday night meeting is tonight, so they couldn't attend. They wanted my colleagues to understand and apologize that they could not attend tonight in regards to issue number 13. So,
Is there anything further? Commissioner Moore?
aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
yes,
14, award contract to Crossroads Asphalt Recycling, Inc., Columbia Station, in the amount of $297,534.20 for the Sheffield Township Liberty Avenue and 41st Street resurfacing and drainage improvement project. 6 bids were received on January 19th, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications, and includes contingencies. This will be paid from the CDBG FY21 account. Grant funds in the amount of $146,200, and account Stormwater and Sheffield Township will provide $26,839 as a local match. Issue notice to proceed effective on or before May 1st, 23, complete on or before August 1st of 23, and authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of contract.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
I see we have people from community development here. Would you guys like to speak to the next 3 issues? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Community
Thank you for having us. The 3 projects that are in sequence are the 3 projects from our Block Grant 21 program year funding. They all ended up going out approximately at the same time for bid. They've gone through a two consecutive week bid process. The 3rd week they were opened. And then they've gone to review, and they were the people that are before you are the recommended bidders that be awarded the contracts for doing the work. It's a combination of either road improvement work or sewer and road work on a second one. Another one that was all sewers.
Okay. Any questions?
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
15, award contract to Buckeye Excavating and Construction, Inc., Norwalk, Ohio, in the amount of $68,932 for the Rosa Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project for the Village of Kipton. 8 bids received on January 12th, this being the most responsive, with complying with specifications, and includes $7,500 contingency for any unforeseen change orders. This will be paid from CDBG FY21 grant funds account. Issue notice to proceed effective on or before March 1st, 23, and complete on or before August 1st of 2023. Authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Well, again, thank you. The Rosa Street project was a tough project, even though a small project, to get our hands around. We did go through and do an income survey there so that at least 51% of the residents met the low mod incomes requirement. And so we were able to go forward with this project. We do have, I think, Mayor Mylander is here today. I don't know if he has anything that he wanted to say, but this is a good project, and I think it's going to be really nice to see this be able to benefit the residents over in Kipton.
See the mayor of Kipton's here. Do you have any comments, or you're good?
Guess not.
Mayor Mylander? Mayor Mylander?
Do you have any comments? Oh, okay. No, no.
Comments?
Do you have any comments in regards to Kipton's, okay, yeah,
I know it's gonna be quite some time down the road, but we are moving forward.
okay, okay. Sorry, Bob, we didn't mean to wake you up.
That's okay.
Thank you, Bob. Sorry about that, Bob, okay. Mayor, okay. We're good, okay.
Anything further?
No,
Commissioner Moore?
aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
16, award contract to Buckeye Excavating and Construction, Inc., Norwalk, Ohio, in the amount of $633,451 for the Sheffield Lake Alameda Avenue Water Main Replacement and Roadway Rehabilitation Project. 3 bids received on the January 26th, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications, and includes alternate 1 plus $63,345 contingency for any unforeseen change orders. County will pay $129,300 from CDBG FY21 grant funds account. City of Sheffield Lake will provide the remaining $567,496 as a local match. Issue notice to proceed effective on or before February 21st, 2023, and complete said contract on or before August 1st of 23. Authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? No?
Do you have anything to add to this project, or?
No, probably the big thing is that this is a very important project to the residents of the city of Sheffield Lake. Work very closely with Mr. Pat Hastings, the Safety Service Director there, and also Mr. Aaron Appel, who's in the audience. I don't know if he had anything to add to the comments tonight, but he's with Bramhall Engineering, and we're able to get this done. And I know it's going to be a great benefit in that area once this project is all complete.
Okay.
We appreciate the county contributing funds to the project on behalf of Sheffield Lake.
Okay.
You come up here for that.
He's okay. He
Or
just
Bill.
wanted to say thanks. So.
If you're speaking on behalf of Sheffield Lake, we kind of got to get you the microphone, sir.
And blame Drake. Don't blame us.
Aaron Appel with Bramhall Engineering. We're the city engineer for Sheffield Lake. Just want to appreciate the county for contributing to funding the project on
Okay.
behalf of the residents of Sheffield Lake.
Okay. Thanks.
I know you guys they've been very persistent, at least since last summer. I know what this was coming in front of us, so persistence pays off. Glad we were able to help.
Thank you.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under Airport 17,
Thanks.
approve and enter an agreement with Wallace Panzer Group, Mansfield, in the amount of $65,442 to develop improvement plans for the rehabilitation of a portion of the main apron and will be paid 95% of state funds from Airport Professional Services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
18, approve an agreement with Wallace Panzer Group, Mansfield, in the amount of $389,552 to perform construction, observation, and testing services and performed in accordance with FAA and ODOT Office of Aviation standards and specifications, and this will be paid from the Airport Professional Services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under the engineer, 19, award and enter in a contract with N&N Construction Wakeman in the amount of $113,899.75 from the Indian Hollow Road Culvert Number 0286 Replacement Project, Penfield Township. And this will be paid from the engineer and stormwater accounts. 11 bids were opened on January 24th, this being the most responsive complying with specifications. Work consists of the removal and replacement of the existing structure with a 6x6 four-sided precast concrete box culvert, precast block wing walls, pavement replacement, and roadside drainage improvements. Issue notice to proceed upon full execution of the contract, authorizing work to begin on or on May 1st, 23, and the work will be completed on or before June 15th of 2023. Authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
20, authorize engineer to enter into LPA Federal Local Let Project Agreement with ODOT for the Burzley Road Bridge 0227 replacement in Rochester Township. November of 2022, the County Engineers Association of Ohio notified that federal highway funding through the Bridge Formula Program had been approved, and the estimated cost of the new bridge is $1 million, and federal funding will be made available at 100% in state fiscal year 25.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
21, enter in consulting services agreement with Raffner A. Limited, Inc. in the amount of $40,000 to assist with professional surveying and testing services, which will be paid from the engineer project account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner,
What is that project for? It's a contract for surveying and testing services. What's the name of the project?
Casey looking at it or?
it's miscellaneous, it's miscellaneous for ongoing services they have throughout their projects.
Throughout all their projects?
Mm-hmm. It says county engineer and consultant mutually desire to contract to provide miscellaneous surveying and testing services of the Office of Lorain County Engineer.
Okay.
So this would be a contract not to exceed?
Agreement
Yes.
says.
Yes, it's 40. Not to exceed $40,000 consulting fee.
Okay, not to exceed.
Okay. Because otherwise it sounds like, here's 40 grand, go spend it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
22, award and enter into contract with Coasting Construction Company, Elyria, in the amount of $687,078.98 for the Elyria Avenue resurfacing project in Sheffield Township. 7 bids received on January 24th, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications. Work consists of milling and resurfacing Elyria Avenue from North Ridge Road to 39th Street as part of the Elyria Avenue resurfacing project. Issue notice to proceed upon full execution of the contract, authorizing work to begin on or around May 29th of 23, and work to be completed on or before July 1st of 23. Funds for the project will be provided by NOACA in the amount of $549,663.18, and OPWC in the amount of $137,415.80.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Riddell?
Aye.
Mr. Hung?
Yes.
Prosecutor, 23, enter an agreement on behalf of the prosecutor in Carlisle Township to have the county prosecutor provide professional services as township law director in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 504.15, effective retroactive to January 1st through December 31st of 2023. Township will appropriate $15,000 as compensation for such services and will be paid in quarterly installments for up to 150 hours of work performed, and anything over 150 hours will be billed at a rate of $100 per hour.
So moved.
One.
We got a motion, though.
Make the second.
Second?
Thanks.
Discussion.
One point of clarification. The agreement is actually between my office and Carlisle Township. So the board is not entering into that agreement. The board is approving the agreement, but the agreement is actually between my office and Carlisle.
We currently do perform that service for other townships where we act as law director.
I represent 18 townships, one of which Carlisle Township falls under this particular statute, 504.15. So that's a separate entity. In general, though, I work on behalf of all the townships.
I know you work on behalf of the townships, but as their law director.
They don't have a law director. They have the county. They have me. I'm statutory counsel for the townships, for the board, and the fiscal officer. Because of the way Carlisle Township is organized under the statute, they're required to have a law director, and my office fulfills that role.
So you're not happy with the way this is worded?
No, it's fine. The
Okay.
agreement's fine. It's just I wanted to make sure you understood.
Okay.
The agreement's actually between my office and Carlisle.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Mr. Hung?
Yes.
24, dispose of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit property in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 307.12D from Lorain County Prosecutor's Office to donate 3 lateral filing cabinets, 3 desks, and 3 office chairs to the LaGrange Township.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
TB Clinic, 25, entering in a sub-recipient agreement with the Ohio Department of Health in the amount of $6,130 for the United for Ukraine, which provides for displaced Ukrainians aged 2 years of age and older will need TB screening in accordance with President Biden on April 21st, 2022. Uniting for Ukraine provides a safe and orderly process for displaced Ukrainians who have been impacted by Russia's invasion to come to the United States and need to be screened for potential TB infection or disease within 90 days.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to double check to make sure this wasn't coming out of Lorain County funds. This is actually coming from the feds,
No, this would be coming from the state,
the state, I mean, not
Department of
the,
Health.
but not coming out of our TB clinic or our
No,
TB.
this is in addition to what they've already received.
Correct.
It reimburses us for providing the services to the refugees from Ukraine.
Correct. That's coming from the state of Ohio.
Correct.
Okay.
Anything further?
Nope.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Public comment. Basically, this is the part people fill out your papers. If you haven't, you can feel free. In the back room will allow you to still fill them out and participate. You get 3 minutes, and it looks like I have Daniel, is it Martone? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Dan Martone. I'm from Grafton Township. Speaking because we have a concern on biosolids that are being moved in our community from a company called Quasar, also known as Grow Now, which is the LLC specifically. Per the EPA, biosolids are products of wastewater treatment processes that are also referred to as sewage sludge. Class B biosolid material is made up of human waste, animal waste, and may be mixed with a number of 80,000 other man-made chemicals discharged from industrial sites near the sewer systems. Some basic history here. In June of 2022, Quasar/Grow Now LLC purchased land located on Law Road, Route 83 in Grafton, Ohio. In July 2022, Mel Kurtz, president and founder of Quasar, shares verbally during a Grafton Township trustee meeting his intent to put in a biosolids lagoon and a tree farm on that property. In October 2022, Grafton Township residents became aware of Quasar's possible intent of transporting, processing, and storing biosolids. November 2022, Grafton Township residents became active in their independent efforts to learn about biosolids and impact community and how residents can prevent their arrival. Our understanding here is our township has verbiage within our current zoning laws that outlines biosolids not be able to transport it and or stored in our community. This verbiage was added a number of years ago to proactively when neighboring community was under imminent threat for biosolids lagoon. That was Pittsfield Township. Until zoning laws are broken in Grafton Township, trustees cannot take any action. Quasar also has not clearly shared with Grafton Township their full intent of what they plan to do with the property, in all fairness. They do have ongoing permitting with the EPA, pending permit to install with the EPA to install a storage pad, which is 160 feet by 60 feet by 2 feet deep. That will hold roughly 3,000 tons of biosolid storage, which is open. There's a pending permit with EPA for a tree farm, and copies of other tree farm permits include use of biostorage as high as 342 dry tons per acre. Our concern is the immediate and long-term impact of biosolids in our community. If Quasar Grow Now LLC permit applications are approved with the EPA, there's no long-term studies on biosolids in industry, and unknown levels of human growth hormones, PFAS, PFOs, and other chemicals in biosolids. The history of Quasar routinely violating Ohio's environmental law in the past 10 years with at least 120 violations. Why I'm here and what we're asking for, and Sean has some additional points he'd like to make, is we're asking for you to please email or write the EPA and ask for a public hearing in our community so the voices of our community can be heard with the federal agency, the state agency, excuse me. And state that you're also against biosolids being transported in, processed, and stored in our community. So thank you again for the opportunity.
No, thank you. Mr. Brennan, is it? Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam, sirs. Just like to read sort of a prepared statement, snowballing what Dan was saying here. I'll speak factually, but I want to emphasize that this is my opinion concerning the facts that I've been exposed to. As a matter of public record, my goal here today is just to respectfully request that you as commissioners use your station to ensure that the Ohio EPA provide the Grafton Township residents and their council with public discussion or hearing before disposing, transporting, or processing the Class B biosolids that Dan just explained to you into our township. I've owned a company. I moved here from another state that's headquartered in Elyria for over 30 years with 300 employees, the majority of which pay taxes here locally. I've been a Lorain County resident for that entire time, and I've lived in Grafton Township for 14 years. I'd just like to express that we're a small community of people raising horses, cows, sheep, goats, chickens, bees, alpacas, and children in a serene surrounding amongst wildlife, and we have ordinances locally to prevent waste generated elsewhere from being processed or stored in our township. But my fear is under the guise of a tree farm or public utility, the Ohio EPA will supersede our statutes in the name of progress when in fact it is only for profit. The company Grow Now LLC and its parent company have exhibited careless and reckless behavior in other facilities. I ask that you respectfully look at the higher-ups and execs at this group and their parent company's correlation to the Ohio EPA. I know you will find a disturbing set of subsets of people who approve projects for them that now work for this company. If the Ohio EPA would do half the due diligence this city does to issue an occupancy permit, we would not be here petitioning you today. I would encourage you to look at the proposed location as well as the surrounding properties after any significant rainfall. Stormwater management is poor with much standing water and unintended runoff. If we're talking about parts per billion in Lake Erie, parts per million at the mouth of the Black River, what's the concentration of contaminants, bacteria, or general pollution near the source? We're not only concerned about the nuisance odor, but the ecological impact our county and township will have to deal with for years to come. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Excuse me, before you take your seat,
Yes.
you got stuck being last, so you get the question.
Okay. I'm not sure I can answer them, but I'll try.
The question is, what process have you followed? This is Grafton Township, correct?
Right.
So what process have you already followed with the EPA that you come now to the commissioners to go to the EPA?
Well, we, originally it was, well, actually, Prosecutor Petticourt is quite familiar. He came.
I'm familiar with the process. One of the issues, and they're here representing a group of concerned citizens for the township. I represent the township, obviously.
Hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah. We were all at the same meetings. The first step in the process is the EPA permitting process. That there is no formal role, and we've talked about this, for the township itself, or really for the commissioners to involve themselves in. At that point, the residents have decided to get involved and try and work with the EPA to see if they can do something at that level. Once that process is over, then it would come to the township, and the township has decisions to make. There isn't really a formal place for them to insert yet. I think that's a fair statement, correct?
It is, except that for the most part, we've requested a hearing with the EPA, which is not necessary for bringing the biosolids that Dan explained to you in the quantities that he explained to you in under the guise of a tree farm. So the EPA does not say they have to give us any kind of a hearing or public notice or anything like that. They could basically just dump this waste under the guise of a tree farm, plant some trees over the top of it, and come what may. So we just are asking you all to use your station as elected officials to basically request, it's one of many dribs and drabs that we're trying for here, to get a formal hearing with the EPA so that they understand what they're doing to our village, our township, which is, it's horrible. And this isn't like it's in the middle of nowhere. If you looked at it on a map, Dan, how far do you live from this property? Okay, I live about a quarter of a mile. There is a campground where there's about 1,000 people that spend summers there that are almost adjacent to or right across the street from this place. There's a horse farm right to the north, an alpaca farm right to the south. There's cattle less than a half a mile from this place. This isn't like out in the middle of nowhere and they're dumping this. This is in our backyards. And like I said, it's a place where, we moved to the country and when waste is generated from cows or something of that nature, we expect them to spread it and have an odor a couple times a year, sure. But we don't expect them to bring waste from downtown Cleveland or other municipal sewer treatment plants mixed with other things and dump it in our backyard.
Have they indicated that's what it is? It's coming
Absolutely.
from out of the area?
Certainly did, yes.
You mentioned the village. Where does the village, what do they do with their sludge?
Well, we have no sewer system. Everybody's responsible for their own. We all have septic tanks. There is no sewer. There is no Lorco in Grafton Township. If you go to the north to Eaton, that's part of Lorco. But we have septic tanks and we're responsible for taking care of our own waste on our own properties. And we pay, people to do such, maintain our own septic system, so.
And you guys know this already, but your trustees are watching this closely. We know that. We're watching this closely. Your zoning inspector is as good as it comes. He's watching it closely. So the people are aware of the issue, and I think Grafton will be prepared when it gets to them to respond. not to prejudge anything or whatever, but, because we can't do that, but they are aware of the issue and there are people who are looking closely at it. I think what's being asked of you today is a hearing with the EPA, as I understand it, is discretionary.
Correct.
And they're asking for this board to send a letter of support, effectively, saying that you think it's an important issue for the county, that the concerns be heard, and that the EPA hold a hearing in this preliminary step. Is that a fair thing?
That's a very fair analysis. All we're asking for is just a public hearing with the EPA where Grafton Township residents, and we are very civil and organized about this, and we have counsel. We've retained counsel, we've raised money, and if you go around where we live, you'll see nothing but signs that Dan will give you the handout for if you have any interest in, that say no biosolids in Grafton. I mean, I've not met one person who wants us to come there. And it's under the guise of a tree farm right now is what they're trying, which sounds harmless, but it isn't. It's a bunch of.
But did I understand in the first commentary that the zoning already prohibits this?
It does, but the Ohio EPA could effectively, our understanding is, and I think Prosecutor Petticord, when he came
Prosecutor Petticord is not going to say what the law is or isn't before there's a zoning hearing. I will say that Grafton's zoning regulations address situations similar to this based on what happened in Pittsfield, in that Grafton Township feels very secure that the zoning regulations are clear. But Prosecutor Petticord is not going to say anything more about that until the time comes.
Yeah.
As we discussed last, right?
Yes.
But it's your hope then that a public hearing will render the EPA may not grant the permit, which would make the point moot, that they create the facility at all.
That is correct.
So instead of an enforcement through the zoning code, you're hoping that the EPA will not grant a permit by exerting enough pressure.
We're hoping exactly that. We're hoping that the EPA doesn't come into play so that we're in conflict with our local statutes that Prosecutor Petticord can't comment on.
Thank you for taking the time to take those questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Sheriff Samedi. I'm sorry, I forgot. I should have pulled you up first. My apologies. I know. I was like,
He's off the clock. He's all right.
no. I don't think the sheriff's ever off
I'm
the
always
clock.
on the clock,
Yeah.
that's right. First of all, I want to thank you for
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
thank you
Good
for the
evening,
8 cruisers
Sheriff.
that you bought. As you know, those are from last year, but,
Right.
we definitely need them for sure. And I want to congratulate the county administrator, Jeff Armbruster. I look forward to working with him. I'm sure we're going to agree on some things, and I'm sure we're going to disagree on some, but I'm looking forward to working with him. Commissioners, I guess the concern that I have, and I brought this up in the past, my last budget that I asked for was not a big increase. It was 2.55% in my general fund budget. And I turned back over $264,000 last year. I guess my concerns, and I know I brought this up at the meeting on January 9th, is that the environmental crime unit is no more, because, that was almost $250,000 that was paid for the past 14 years for 2 deputies to do that. That's no longer there. So I had to absorb that in my budget, because I got a letter on December 22nd from Mr. David Blevins stating that they were no longer going to fund it. So that added to my budget that I didn't have a chance to address December 1st when I came over here. And then the new deputies contract, which, as you know, started January 1st of this year, added another $250,000 there. So we're talking $500,000 right there that I don't really have in my budget. And the concern that I guess I have is that I'm watching these appropriations, and then when certain commissioners, and you're bringing up that my money's not getting paid back, I have 6 school resource officers, 6 SROs. I have a guy that works for Children's Services, and this money I front out, and then I expect to get it put back in my budget, and it's not doing it right now. And I know there was, the last one, I think it was on January 25th, you brought it up, Commissioner Moore, that there was $43,000 that was not put back in my budget. This has always been put back in our budget for the last, since you've been commissioner for a couple of years and prior to that. So I'm concerned because I pay these out, and what it is I got to backfill my deputies, and I'm still down 5 officers. So I need that money to come back into my budget. And Casey understands it, and he knows this is the way it's been done in the past. And I don't know why all of a sudden it's changed, but that's, and then.
I think it's gonna be in your budget. I think it's gonna be taken care of. I can't remember. Was there, do you mind if we ask Casey?
No, no, go
Okay,
ahead.
I just want to get it resolved. can't remember how we left it, because I thought it was showing up in a week or two, so.
So, there may be a couple different issues at hand, but I have had some conversations with your staff about trying to find a way to more efficiently get those appropriations back in. So, as you mentioned, as you're being reimbursed, whether it be from a grant or from community, then those appropriations are being submitted. So, on a weekly basis, we're seeing 1 to 2 different appropriations. So, there was some conversations that I've had with your staff about ways to possibly make that process a little more efficient, so we're not seeing several of these appropriations, per week. So I think those conversations are still ongoing from an operational standpoint, just from a process standpoint, trying to figure out a better way to address those. But I believe I think you're correct. This money will come back in the form of appropriations,
Right.
that you'll see. Again, we're just trying to work through the process of what that looks like.
Yeah, because I think Auditor Snodgrass did say we're up like 1.6% for the month of January. So I know, that's why I was telling you, we're not, we're not cutting.
I'm just concerned, Commissioner, that.
No, you're not.
I don't want
wouldn't
to say, hey, the sheriff overspent his budget, now
Oh,
he's
no.
short $500,000.
No.
Trust you.
No, that's not it. Oh, he doesn't trust me,
That's not
okay.
it. I just want you guys to know, but that's,
Oh, yeah, well,
and as you know, because if that doesn't get put back, just like with the cruiser, I know we had that thing with the cruiser
Right.
where my one detective got hit by another person. We ended up getting a settlement of $16,000 for the car. My suggestion was, let's take that money and maybe the gov deals that we sell the old cruisers on and buy the new cruiser. But and I was told, no, that's not the way we're gonna do it. You spend it out of your budget, so I had to move $50,000 out of my salary account and put it in to buy this cruiser that we just bought. And I pretty much was told, if you run out of money, come on back, Sheriff. But I don't like to operate my budget that way, but I just want you to know that's definitely a concern of mine, that if we keep doing it this way and nothing comes back in, then we're gonna have problems down the road. Because some of those checks that we get from, we got 6 SROs, and some of them are like close to $20,000 that they reimburse us back. So if those monies, I don't mind giving money back to the county, but at least like to have, and whatever, you guys know, I'm a pretty frugal kind of guy. You can ask any of my employees. But, because I always got to turn stuff back, and I understand that, because I don't like overspending it.
yeah, they're not
But I just
laughing
want
right
to bring,
now.
because that definitely is a concern of mine, Commissioners. I just wanted to let you know that.
Mr. President, can I ask
Yeah,
a
oh,
question?
yeah.
Do you have the figure off the top of your head on the grant money from solid waste that has been discontinued?
It was
Sheriff?
about $240,000.
Yeah, 242 something, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we did get a vehicle, and I hope we get to keep the vehicle. It's all marked out, and we're still gonna answer calls. I mean, if we get any kind of environmental calls, I'm not gonna turn them down. My officer's gonna go out and do them.
Yeah, just give us a couple months on that, because what little I know on this is they have to prepare a 10-year budget that the EPA has to approve. And based on some of the cuts that we're getting from, and the income that we're receiving, they pretty much cut not only that, but also the local community grants that were offered. So now the question for the three of us is gonna be, I believe, in the next 3 to 4 months, maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, and I know I've talked to Director Blevins, he's not for using general fund money in his department. He's trying to make it a self-sufficient department, and that's was his intention. Unfortunately, we didn't know about that till near the end of the year. So I believe in the next couple of months, we'll be having those discussions on, do we subsidize solid waste due to the revenue that they got cut? So that's that rolling downhill of cuts that kind of affected it. And this is what people don't see, which is, it was like 2 deputies, or was it 3? Was it
It was 2.
2
yes.
deputies
Deputy
that were
Lopez
being
and
funded
Holmes.
through solid waste. And the communities are actually voicing some of their concerns, wondering where is our allotment, and it's just not there. So that's kind of, but he has his hands tied with the EPA, because he has to project a 10-year budget, and so that's kind of what's going on. So
I understand that,
No,
Commissioner.
there's just, but again, like I said, the budget, we try to get as close as we could, but already, as we all know, Craig was pretty conservative, and by at least 10 to 12%. That's why I felt comfortable, like telling you, don't worry, there's going to be money, and it's already showing that when January was like 1.6% increase over 2022. So, and I anticipate us working pretty well together in regards to the jail.
Okay,
But we'll
Commissioner.
have that discussion another day.
Thank you. I know I was over my 3 minutes, but I
Yeah, oh, no,
appreciate
you're,
it.
yeah, well, you're the,
Thank you.
you're an elected official,
Sheriff,
Sheriff.
Sheriff Bill?
Sheriff?
A couple of comments and one question. You said that, that your January 1st 3% increase was not in your budget that you submitted in November? 'Cause I'm just trying to, that's for my education, because when I came in January, I'm looking at what was submitted in November.
Yeah, and you're right, it was in there, but what's not in there is that there was a longevity payment that was bought out, which come to about $250,000, because there is gonna be no more longevity. Longevity is like officers get maybe like $94 every year. They first start getting it after their third year, and then the fourth year, and it goes up to 25 years. I think the commissioners wanted to, and one of the reasons, my understanding, when they negotiated was to get the base pay up a little bit. So you took that amount of longevity, rolled it into their base pay. That was never put in the budget,
Okay.
so.
And then the other thing is on the solid waste, that's gonna be an issue that we'll have to grapple with, not just in your department, but as you know, all the solid waste funds are directly related to the tipping fees at the landfill.
Yep.
As well as other EPA sources. And just like the village or the township is here tonight, that's the debate that we in Lorain County are gonna have to go through, because when we don't take refuse from outside Lorain County, we lose the tipping fees for that. The net result of that is that some of the grant monies for your department and some of the others are affected by that, because as he said, Mr. Blevins is trying to run it self-sufficient, which is what it's been, and not make it another issue in the general fund. But if we ourselves pass policy that reduces revenue, there's a consequence. You can't spend revenue you didn't get. So the county and through the commissioners, we'll have to take a leadership role in that. But that whole issue affects a half a dozen departments, and cities and other people that get money from the solid waste grants.
I understand, Commissioner. Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
President?
Yeah,
I
go
had
ahead.
a
Yeah,
question for
Sheriff.
the sheriff.
Yes.
If I'm remembering correctly, Sheriff, and you probably could give a better, accurate timeline here. I thought budget meetings were first, and then your contract was ratified after the budget meeting. So you would have no idea, probably couldn't speak to it anyway if it was in negotiations, correct?
Yeah, it was passed afterwards, you're right.
Okay, just making sure.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I got a couple, Aiden Fogel, you want to come on up? If you notice, we're not really asking for addresses, because I feel we got them in here anyway. I just don't like people saying it out in public, so,
Just the name.
just the name's good, okay.
Good evening, good afternoon. I want to start out by thanking David Moore for his attitude towards transparency with the process of governing Lorain County. With that being said, I would like to make it very clear that both David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell have been quoted by several sources stating that the Cleveland Communications contract was bad, was rigged, was unfair, etc. But in light of these allegations, neither David nor Jeffrey have offered a single shred of supporting evidence to the public that substantiates these allegations. It is preposterous to assume that this contract was illegal when our fine prosecutor, J.D. Tomlinson, along with his top flight staff, filed the contract and the process from its inception, approving it with their stamp and signature prior to signing the contract in December of 2022. How dare you attempt to discredit the prosecutor's office in order to perpetuate your fraud upon the citizens of Lorain County? At the February 1st, 2023 Commissioners meeting, David Moore asked Mission Control to modify the RFP and was abruptly silenced by Lorain County Assistant Prosecutor Daniel Petticourt. Now that all bids are unsealed and open to anyone, there is no way to ensure an honest legal bid process and everyone is able to undercut each other. This is obvious retroactive bid rigging on the back end, but at least everyone gets their cut, right, Dave? This is especially true if Motorola somehow ends up being offered a contract in the event that the Lorain County Court of Common Pleas fails to overturn the rescinding of the original contract or order an injunction. Now, let me move on to another example of the transparency or lack of from David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell. On December 21st, 2022, I attended the Commissioners' public meeting and I offered my opinion during public comment. My opinion at times was subversive to David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell, and because of that, on the same day, at 8:13 p.m., as journalized by the Licking County Municipal Court Clerk Marcia Phelps, Jeffrey Riddell's personal administrative assistant, John Gall, sent a public records request and started off their conspiracy to harass, intimidate, and cause emotional distress to myself through Gestapo-like tactics in an attempt to stop me from criticizing this group of corrupt actors that call themselves our representatives. Once John Gall received these records, which contain my personal and sensitive information, including but not limited to a copy of my Ohio driver's license, my social security number, birth date, and home address, somehow Thomas Williams, former Lorain County Commissioner's Administrator and former son-in-law of John Gall, personal friend of David Moore, and ardent supporter of Jeffrey Riddell, came into possession of these records and proceeded to post them, unredacted, on his personal Facebook page for anyone and everyone to share and retain. What I would like to know is if John Gall was acting in concert with or as Jeffrey Riddell's agent when he purported this vicious act upon me. If so, why is David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell trying to silence me and attacking a private citizen for exercising their First Amendment right to free speech? What are these corrupt politicians and their agents trying to cover up or hide? What is so important that they would break state and federal laws to try and keep from being exposed? This conspiracy went so far as to include a reporter from the Lorain Morning Journal who was promptly terminated from his position for his participation. Once I discovered this heinous and illegal act, I immediately contacted law enforcement and my corps of qualified and competent attorneys. I filed a police report and I started the process of filing litigation against everyone involved. Mark my words, you're all gonna be sued, every one of you, okay?
Are we close?
Thank-
You're
yeah, we're-
past the 3
He's
minutes. Are
at-
we close to a closing? And then-
I'm
then we'll
close to a
answer your
closing.
questions.
Yeah, you're at
Okay.
4 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna depose every one of you, okay, and get to the bottom of all of this. I hereby request Jonathan Gall's immediate resignation or termination from his position as administrative assistant for violating state and federal laws and multiple sections of the Lorain County Employee Handbook. Should the board refuse to take action, they are setting a new precedent that allows current or past employees to do and transmit anything they please without any repercussions or culpability, and in turn exposes the county to serious legal liability for their actions. For the record, I am delivering a copy of all emails and documents related to this matter by hand to Lorain County Assistant Prosecutor Dan Petticourt today, February 21st, 2023. I also request that the commissioners hold an executive session to resolve this matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
But I wouldn't waste my
Yep.
time.
You asked me a question, would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
Okay, the answer is, John Gall has rights as a citizen. He's not acting on behalf of me as a commissioner or administrative assistant. I don't know what his relationship with you is. I've never met you. I don't know you. And I did not ask him to do that.
We did talk. We did talk. We've met. We talked. You called me on Christmas Eve. You don't remember that? Yeah, we did talk. We did talk. And on Christmas Eve, you actually told me, you asked me if I was a firefighter, and I said no. And you said, well, then what do you care what contract we go with? And I said, I care because I care about the safety of myself and the rest of the people in Lorain County. You don't remember that conversation?
Nope.
No. Well, I think I may have recorded it.
Well, that might be, but the question is, it was Christmas Eve. Number one, I would ask you.
What does that
Number two,
matter?
I still don't know
You can't
who
remember
you are.
a month ago?
I still don't know who you are.
Okay, well, you know now. I'm sure you know exactly what happened. They've all talked to you. They've all told you what happened, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You know what happened. You're gonna sit here on record and tell me that you don't know about this incident that happened with Tom
I
Williams.
said, he's not acting at my instructions.
Okay, so you knew about it then. Did he send you a copy of these emails before he posted my personal information
I'm
on his
not on
page?
Facebook.
You have him to thank for this.
Okay, I think
Okay,
we're,
because if he
we're
wouldn't have
done here,
posted, I would have never have known about it. And I
Okay.
know what your plan was.
okay, and we're
Okay?
done.
I know what your plan was.
Thanks.
You asked me a question, I'm answering your question. You have any questions, Dave?
Not for you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you, I will.
Deputy, will you let him? Thank you. Michael DiCarlo, how are you doing today, sir? You're missing your hat again.
Michael DiCarlo, 320 Alberta Vermilion. Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, or
You're
evening.
missing your Linda.
Good evening.
Evening. You are missing the Linda. She's, yeah, it is what it is. She said, I only got 3 minutes today.
Send her regards.
Will do, man. Will do. Remembered a fella that just recently passed away. If I could, a couple
Sure.
folks that were close to my life that actually influenced me. One fellow was a submarine veteran like myself. He was a diesel boat fella. His name was Mike Malone. I want to say he was from Van Wert, Ohio. He just passed away. He lived in Oklahoma City here recently. Another fellow was John Viola. He was a neighbor caddy quarter to me. He was a Vietnam vet, and he had Agent Orange exposure and stuff, and he was on oxygen, which prompted me to come here when there was a fire next door to him, and our fire hydrants didn't work, which is why I came back here again. Looking for money, get fire hydrants working in Vermilion. Then another fellow was really instrumental in my life, and it actually inspired me to argue about the use of an Oxford comma with my executive officer on board the USS Bremerton. That fella, last I knew, he was some admiral in charge of Europe. Last I checked that out, right? But J.R. Reynolds was my English teacher at Avon High School, and he was also a cross-country coach and track coach there for many years, and he just passed away. And his funeral is, they'll have a remembrance for him, celebration of life at the Avon Relays in May sometime. I'm not sure the exact day, but he was a really good fella and inspired many a good person inspired leadership to transcend beyond generations, we'll say. Be able to ask questions, not be intimidated by the system if you know that you're right. Other than that, back to the fire hydrants, money for the fire hydrants, right?
What bothers me is you got the front page on that article when you came here. I'm sure you saw that, correct?
I bought 3 pages. One
Okay.
one for me, one for my mom, and one for my aunt.
Okay.
That's right.
I hope you signed it.
Not yet.
Okay.
So,
Still trying to figure out why you came to us for fire hydrants, or were you really looking for some money? Is that where you're
at the very beginning, looking for money. The city said they were broke. And I
Oh,
addressed
okay.
them
That's
with
why.
it.
Okay, I was trying to figure out the.
Well, it's the health, safety, and welfare.
Right. Okay.
That's where the county's responsibility is, right? Health, safety, and welfare. How can you be healthy if you're not safe in your house? You got fire hydrants on there, and everybody's welfare is adversely impacted by this.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Being retired, I'm able to get some other meetings. I went to American Legion meeting here last night. There's a lady, her name is Marilyn Zeidner. Her email is music@musicmissioninc.com. They're trying to get veterans and songwriters together for a thing called Project Drew. And if anybody would like to contact you can contact her at musicmissioninc.com. And other than that, have a great week. We'll see you in a couple weeks. No fishing because it's too cold for that, right?
Yeah. Well, we're here Friday.
See you Friday.
Oh yeah, Friday.
10:30,
Jeez.
bright and early.
This is almost like
Yeah, I know. Well, that's
yeah,
what.
right on. Well, thanks. Have a great. See ya.
Thanks for coming in and keeping it under 3 minutes. Okay, in regards to item number 8, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes. Mr. President.
Yep.
On the personnel summary sheet, number 1 under Commissioners, Jeffrey Armbruster. It is my belief that my colleagues would prefer this vote go 3-0. However, at this time, and due to a potential conflict of interest, I will have to abstain from my vote for the appointment of Jeffrey Armbruster as County Administrator. So it's under Commissioners number 1, Teresa.
Okay. Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung with abstention in number 1 under Commissioner.
Yes, with abstention.
Okay.
Okay, clerk's report.
We have a meeting Friday at 10:30 a.m. That's all I got.
Okay.
I think.
Waive to move the board correspondence,
The reading.
the reading of the board.
Reading.
We
He
don't
wants
want to just kick
throw
it
it out. I'm not going to put it on there no more.
There's good
Pick on
nuggets in
Dave.
there. though,
Sometimes
Teresa.
there are, yeah. Do I have a second?
Can someone second
A
me?
second?
Thank you.
Uh-oh, Teresa. Now you gotta decide the coin toss.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Any new business?
No.
Seeing none, I say we are officially adjourned. See y'all on Friday.
Thank you for your attendance.
Okay.
This is
I did some of it.
bigger crowd. It gives us encouragement.
Everybody's, this is just specific, do you have is that a blue pen that you have, Dave?
What's that?
Is that a blue pen you have?
Yeah, it's a blue
I
pen.
just wanna make sure, cause he's gonna sign one thing and,
Yeah, here. Well, I'll be here in the I'll be here in the morning.
that's fine. Let me give these to Amy.
I mean, do you want me to sign them in the morning, or
You can sign in the morning if you
Jeff?
like.
Jeff, you
And
want?
then Eric can get them. Yep.
Do,
Amy?
do you excuse me, sir? Excuse me. Do you guys? I know what you're asking. I didn't want to say this, but you know, we could have a public hearing, but would it help? Because we can't do that. Right. So we can't. Yeah. So we can't put one on. So I think what you're looking for is a letter of support from the three of us, right? Okay. Do you guys have an example letter that I could run it by our prosecutor? So
But just make sure that this one here,
yeah, because I mean, I think what you're asking for, I think I can't speak for the other two, is maybe that we feel that we should have a public hearing, and I would support anything in public, you know. So because when it's in public, it can't be.
Your opinion is
Petticourt said yes. Yes.
EPA grants